Man, 3 days in a row on chapter 7 on organized planning. And still a lot of stuff that we haven't covered in the last 2 days. So we're wrapping it up today, no matter what. And I can't wait to hear what else you guys are pulling from this. One more nugget from me to you. Please, please, please. If you've already read this chapter, read it one more time this weekend. And if you haven't done it, get through it. These nuggets, these pieces, these checklists, if you implement them, will be a game changer for you. And as always, the room is yours. So, Client Myrie, you're up. You're ready to go. What do you got from the content?
So for me, I felt like, good morning, everyone. I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to everyone. We're blessed and we've made it to the end of another week. For me, I got a lot out of this in regards to Mr. Henry Ford, who was a systems guy. You've heard that term before. And he did two things that really I'm planning to take this forward. One, he set up absolute systems that worked. I mean, conveyor belt systems. Things you knew how things were going to work when you walked into his factory. And then number two, there was no such thing as can't. He was not willing to accept the fact that something was not going to work according to his plan. And that's huge, because what that says to me is, when you look at how in the military or you look at life, one of the things that happens is, even if people don't understand you, they may not even believe you, but if they see you moving forward in such a way that you cannot fail, you're not willing to fail, they will often fall in line based upon the strength of you saying that you're going to move forward. So those are just the two things: not willing to fail, and the systems that he set in place were just astounding.
So one of my joys of this room is that I actually know each and every one of you fairly well. And so when you speak, I might be able to see it through a lens of maybe a challenge. So, client, get that mic hot again. I love that you're making food, but get the mic hot, get back on it for a moment. Because you said something important to me that I want everybody to hear and then dissect with me. You said he set up systems.
Correct.
Who actually set up the systems?
But in quite honestly, yeah, okay, I know where you're coming from. I got you. Okay. So he was the person that actually organized, but he had people who were better than he was in setting up the minutia of getting from point A to point B. But he was the general. He said, this is what I want to happen, but he had little guys, and that's not negatively, but he had people that were more adept at the minutia than he was.
He was the conductor. He was the orchestra leader. Just like he's not playing every single note out there, or in fact, any of the instruments out there. I really intend to make sure that you guys don't get caught up in the weeds of going, okay, I now have to learn how to implement X. I would much rather have you finding others to implement stuff for you. I mean, when it comes to video editing, creating shorts and reels, and getting things posted to YouTube and other places, how much of that is Coach Russ doing based on our recordings of the Morning Mindset every day? Thank you, client. Peace to you too. Exactly. I know it needs to be done. I know somewhat the output I want on that, and I have now turned it over to others. Is the output exactly where I want it yet? No. So I'm exploring others to plus the output and get better. I'm not getting caught up in those weeds though. So please, 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 guys, as you're thinking of things to implement in your business, as you're building your vision, building your goals, continue to ask the question, who instead of me? I saw another mic go hot. Who was it? Celeste.
So just, I don't know where we got it, but in one of the chapters of one of the last books we had, it talked about a book called Who, Not How. And I am very motivated to get the book and make that must read.
So as you say that, Renegade Mindset reading list, let me add that on here to look up. Who, not how. Got it. I think that's an excellent nugget, excellent element. Jeanette, welcome back. I know you've been traveling, doing lots of things. It's exciting to see you here, leaning back in. What do you have from chapter 7?
Good to be back. Good to be back. I just wanted to reconfirm the who, not how. I've read part of the book with it, and again, it's developing the mindset of not doing it all yourself, and just being raised in doing it yourself, just for whatever reasons there were. It's a mindset change, and also, you know, figuring out where to go to find the people, because sometimes you don't know what you're asking for, but that becomes the process of when you have some of the general systems in place, then you can at least interview on the goals of what you want to accomplish. So if you have maybe what the tools you have, but what does the vision look like? Obviously, Henry Ford was a great person for expressing his vision. He knew what he wanted to have accomplished, and so he could tell people what they needed, what he needed to get done, but also in the who, not how, as in the rest of it, being a timely decision maker, so that you get accomplished. And if you see when you know what you want and you see it's not going there, first off, then you can either adjust for the skill, figuring out what you missed in the hire or in the partnership, and quickly adjust as needed.
Well, I love that you're a chapter ahead, that just kind of tickling that decision making and decisiveness. That's going to be fun to get into. And then again, talked about employee versus partner, which was right here in today's content. And I want to make sure we're getting back to it, because there's some key components on maybe how things go awry, maybe a self-audit that I would love to hear you guys bring into the room. So Julianne, what do you have from the content?
The self-analysis questionnaire for personal inventory. The self-analysis is one of the beginning stages. You can't move forward with direction if you haven't looked at yourself clearly. And good Lord, he has 28 questions. He also has, I think it's 30 of the reasons things go awry. So there's two things that I'm going to be doing based on this chapter. One is really honing in on the difference between a mentor who guides me and a mastermind who helps me, like with instructions and the how-tos. They're two very different things. Now, a mentor can be in your mastermind, but your mastermind isn't necessarily your mentor. So there's that level of personal accountability, I think, that accelerates with a mentor. But when I coach people through changes, it's all about their lenses and the questions that they ask. And there are questions that he asks, which seems very kind of like common sense, but common sense is the first thing that goes away because it's common. What sticks is the uncommon. The first thing that you read when you sit there and you're like, oh, is that really true? And if it strikes you as odd, all of a sudden it's going to stick a little bit more because it's not common and it causes an emotion to be evoked. And so if I can focus on one self-inventory question, dive deep on that for the month for myself with self-reflection, and then find the pairing of how that causes things to go awry. In the course of the next year, I'm going to be well on my way to my next version of me.
And I think that is a superb approach, Julianne, because you're breaking it down. You're taking on one nugget versus attempting to eat the whole thing. So many people will dive into this. Okay, I got to do all of this right now. And as I tell you guys time and time again, it's time on task over time that makes the magic happen. It's slow at first, and all of a sudden, you're going to be an overnight success. That's what everybody's going to think of because you've just been chipping away, making it happen. What else have you guys discovered along the way in chapter 7?
Right.
Nafritha,
Good morning.
let's hear that powerful voice of yours.
So I appreciate that, right? Today's one of those days, but but just what to go off of what Julianne said, right? That self-reflection. And kind of like holding yourself accountable and having partners to be that accountability partner. I think it's very, very essential in here. And there's a part that I don't know, I won't say the page, right? Because everybody's page is a little bit different. But here it says, it may be more beneficial. No, most people cannot see themselves as others see them. You may be one who cannot. And I thought that is one good reason to have an accountability partner or have a mastermind group like this, or to have other people to lean into. And it reminded me of the disc profile. Like I was doing that disc profile again the other day, and I came across these questions, and it tells you, like, if you struggle with picking one, just pick the thing you think of the first, right? Whatever comes to mind that you relate to, pick that. And I found myself just like, but I am this, and I'm that, and I'm this too, right? So I had to call my significant other, and I said, hey, read this with me and tell me, what do you think, right? Because sometimes we think we're showing up like a thing and we're not. And so he's like, oh, definitely, I'll pick this one. Like easily, he's like, this one, right? And so that show, and in that moment, I had an aha moment, right? How often do we go to our person, whoever that might be, and be like, hey, I'm just checking in with you. How have I been lately? How have you been experiencing me lately? Because you may think that you're coming one way, but you're really not, right? So I think it was very helpful for me in that moment to lean on someone else to just get some insight about me so I can know, like, and then even in this room, right? I'm getting chills. You guys pour into me so much by just speaking life and telling me how you experience me. And every time you speak, it gives me chills, almost like I didn't hear you say it, right? Because it's coming from a lens that I don't see, right? And it's parts of what you say I already know. Because I know I have a voice. I know God put me on this earth to use my voice for a specific purpose. So that is what I know already. But hearing it from other people and getting that daily boost, or whether it's the confirmation, right? Or it's just like, keep going, you got this. That makes a huge difference. And in here, like you guys were, like client was talking about, right? Like coach always says, find who can do it and don't feel like you need to do it all, right? So how do we find those people that can shed some light on the blind spots that we have, so that we can continue to grow? And as I listened to you speak, Julian, like that was the thing, like, right? I love what you said, like going through the list, like I was going through it, but to be completely honest, I had to stop for a moment because I was like, I think I need to make this just a session of just going through these questions, because you have to admit the truth, and sometimes the truth is ugly, and sometimes the truth hurts. But that's the only way we get to the next level, we get to the next stage. So I was just encouraging myself and you all to lean into the people we have, leaning into our mastermind, our support. With me, I know I am I am getting better at asking for help. Okay, I reworded that. I am getting better at asking for help. So those of you that probably are similar to me, let's lean into that together and ask for help when we need it, because that's the only way that we can see the things that we can.
Absolutely. And by the way, the blind spots, the best people to do that is a coach, because they're going to hit you right between the eyes. They're not going to sugarcoat it. They're not going to be through the judgment. When you said, I asked my significant other, does this dress make me look fat? Gentlemen, what's the answer, right? The significant other is not the person to go for that type of stuff. Whereas a coach will give you absolute transparent answers on that. Doug, you've got the floor. I saw Client and Jeanette also both. What do you got, Doug?
Boyd and Afrita, I think you ought to write that down for yourself. Because I think that was a huge revelation for you. So great job on that. This particular chapter has so much stuff in here, but I think one of the things that really stands out is the opportunity that we have to do anything that we want to do in the place that we live. And there's a lot of other places that you can't. And being grateful for that is one of the things that stood out in this. And that's basically what I just wanted to lay out there, is that we have an incredible place to live, and we need to see a lot of things happen with the people that we're leading to help heal the place that we live, because it is a fabulous country to live in. And we need to see the things that have been trying to disassemble this country step aside and let us grow again. So that's just basically what I want to share.
Well, and a big part of that, just to put a cherry on top of this, is the attitude of opportunity and optimism versus the attitude of negativity and resistance. Every one of us knows that our success lives in that opportunity mindset. It's no different for the rest of this country. It's no different for our leaders. And so the fact that we're seeing now some of that opportunity mindset, some of that creative thinking, is kind of fun to watch. Clint, you had keyed in earlier. I want to make sure I respect seeing that mic go hot.
Well, just real quick on two things. Talking about opportunity, y'all are going to love chapter 8 and 9. It's going to be really interesting, but we're not going to go there. Just talking about, we were talking about other people in regards to setting other people up, in regards to having them do what needs to be done to help us to achieve our goals. So often we think that getting people to do something that is beneficial to us involves us dragging them along. I think one of the things that happens is that many of us are poor judges of character. And so we find people that we choose, that we say, hey, they need help. And so I'm going to drag them along and make them do it. And they'll realize it after the fact. Instead of looking for people that we can coexist with in such a way that they're open to what we're doing and we're open to what we're doing. In regards to this group, I think that's what we found here. I can go, and I've gone out and I invited other agents to a group like this. They're complaining about the business. They're complaining about this, because they're complaining about that. And so I invite them, and I invite them, and I invite them, and I'm frustrated. because they're not coming. But I realized maybe this is not for them. Maybe I shouldn't be dragging them. You know, Henry Ford, when he put his system together, I am sure that there were some people that did not understand his concept. He didn't take a stick and beat them. He said, you know what? I'm building a factory. And if this doesn't work for you, hey, we live in a capitalistic society and you can find something elsewhere. So I'm at this point in my time of my life, I'm 55. I have very limited time to really beat people up and try to get them to see my vision. I'm not looking for people that I can just stink with. Life is easier when you flow like water. And that's it.
Well, you're doing something key here and you're being an inviter. That's not pushing or pulling or kicking or screaming. You just keep pouring in and inviting, because what you're actually dealing with on this is Roger's innovation adoption curve. So you're going to have it's the old bell curve, like everything that happens in life. And you're going to have early on the innovators who just create and see magic happen. Then you'll have those that are early adopters. And we're still in that early adopter curve for many of us in certain parts of our industry. The meat in the middle are the early majority. And that's where you'll see people finally going, okay, I'll check out. Okay, I'm going to show up. Think about it right now. I went with this room for a year and a half with like 4 or 5 people showing up. That was it. And we're now actually early adopter phase. I can't wait till we get this to 50 plus, which is when we're finally going to be in that majority adoption phase. So just guys, you got to stay on it, keep inviting, keep loving on them, client. You do the same with everybody in your world. You keep loving on them, you keep serving, you keep helping. As long as you're showing, as it says in here, that heart of service, of giving, of gratitude, man, great things are going to happen. I got 4 mics hot. I see them. So let's go through, since they're all repeats, starting with Julianne.
Okay, real quick on a client, just to piggyback on what you're doing and saying about the inviting, the biggest way, number one, you don't know, you can't assume somebody doesn't want to learn what you're learning. So inviting is important because we don't know what's going on inside their minds. Number one. Number two is the best way to encourage other people to join in is to show them how much it's changing you. Okay. So you lead by example and you keep doing, you keep showing, you keep dropping the seeds, you keep watering those seeds. You can't control when everything else in their life is going to be perfect for that little seed to come up and grow. But your job may be just planting seeds. Maybe the next person in their life actually is the one who gets to see the harvest. That doesn't matter because it doesn't really, that's not the important part. The important part is for you to go ahead and keep going. And because you know what? Oftentimes when we are reaching out and helping other people, we're also seeing and learning things that are reflecting back on us, and it helps us with our growth. So like Zig Ziglar says, the greatest way, the quickest way to your achievement is to help others achieve what they want.
Amen. Amen. All right, Jeanette, you're up.
Good timing. You don't have to listen to GPS while I'm on. A couple of things with it. The early adopters, the people who start something, who are the early adopter and become early adopters, are the ones who also develop the leadership skill and language to invite other people in. And so we've had the book, Exactly What to Say for Real Estate. And so when we have Gene Fredericks, or when we have different people that we know, Henry Ford, the different ones we're talking about, they knew how to talk to people. They knew how to find out who those people were and find out so that they knew what they wanted of those people and when to invite them and how to invite them. That's a skill set. Okay. They're leaders. And so here we are. When I'm introducing this to people, I'm not calling it a book club. I'm calling it a leadership mastermind. Our from when Nafritha was talking earlier, you know, how do you know which are the skills you want to do? Well, I guess part of the thing is looking at your skills so that those are the places where you know where to hire, because you can understand what you're needing in there, as well as the places that you don't know what to do, but it helps you to get you can understand a little bit more about who really does have the skill to accomplish what you're needing help with there. Maybe those are some of the places to get started with in it. So, but again, knowing what to say to the person you want to join you is, and what their needs are, so that you can help them meet their needs with your vision.
Absolutely. We are here to connect, to collaborate, to help and serve. Justin, fresh voice, what do you got, brother?
Something I just wanted to add on to what Jeanette and client were just talking about. Kind of two aspects of that. So as we're leading people, inviting people, etc., I think it's easy to get caught up in this. Well, am I not doing it correctly, or what have you? And I think that as we level up the quality of our communication, we can't fall short of the idea of leveling up the quality of the individuals that we're inviting and having conversations with. I went through doing DMD4. This was a week or two ago, and I spoke with not our governor, but had been a Republican candidate for governor in the state of Illinois, who I only know a little bit. And I used language from these books that we're reading. I said, hey, Gary, I don't know if this is for you, but we have a mastermind. We're reading a book at a time. And he keyed in on that mastermind word. That turned into a half-hour conversation about where his houses are and, you know, who I could look for to run for president in 2032. And I really believe that using the right words with the right people is going to get the results. So if you're not getting the result you want, look at the people just as much as the words that you're using.
Awesome. Love it, Justin. So let's talk about people real quick to wrap this day up. Hey, as we get to wrapping this book up, we are going to have the keeper of the Napoleon Hill Library join us for a wrap-up day. So like we have done previously, we can't get Napoleon Hill. I have not found someone to do a seance to get Napoleon Hill in. So the second best is the individual that had all this passed on to them that is now the keeper of the content. So we're working on that. They've already green-lighted a general yes will come. Don Hobbs and I worked on dates today based on where we're at. And just know going into Thanksgiving, we will probably not necessarily take a break on the room, but break on the content that Thanksgiving week, because I know not everybody's going to be here, and I want to respect keeping you guys in this content. So I suspect next week we'll do Monday, Tuesday chapter content, and then Wednesday through Friday open discussion for whoever shows up. And then the following week, we should be close to wrapping this up, if not wrapping it up. And that is when we will have that time with the keeper. So the good news is, once we have the date, we're going to let all of you know immediately. You can invite anybody and everybody to come to that conversation with the author's choice of who is keeping the torch. We'll have the bio, everything else for you. So it's a good way when we do this. When we did this with Larry Kendall and Ninja Selling, we had over 100 people in the room, okay, that showed up for that day with Larry. So make sure that gets on your radar to start doing that. Also know, looking at our schedule, Radical Edge, Stephen Farber will be probably the first 2 weeks of December. I'm going to let you guys decide what the last 2 weeks are because I will not be with you. I will be off for a couple of weeks. And then starting January, just like we did last year, we are going to go step by step through ninja selling again. So this is your opportunity again to get into the basics, get real good clarity on skill set, and again, help others do the same. So keep those in mind for what we're doing. Think about what you can do to help others pour in by getting them there. And by all means, guys, I can't wait to see what you implement out of Think and Grow Rich.